Centavo de Lincoln Vale espera. No ludo saltar. Este simple centavo que tienes en tu bolsillo podría valer más que tu casa. Te voy a mostrar siwa with acute les. Millons. Suena loco? Pues no lo es. Aquí te enseño la lista de los 5 más caros. Look down. Right now. At the loose change rattling in your car's cup holder. At the forgotten pennies stacked in that coffee tin on your dresser. At the sticky coins in the bottom of your work bag. Now listen closely. What if I told you that one specific Lincoln penny, minted in 1969, carrying a tiny D beneath the date, has sold for more than a brand new Ferrari? What if I told you that fewer than 24 examples are known to exist on the entire planet? And what if I told you that in the last 18 months alone, collectors have bid this coin past the point where most Americans could buy a house? In cash. You're about to learn why the 1969 D Lincoln cent isn't just a penny. It's a ghost, a forgery look-alike, and potentially the single most valuable piece of pocket change you could ever hold. But here's the kicker. Most people who found one spent it on gum, on a soda, on nothing. Today, we separate the spender from the collector. And by the end of this video, you will either feel a deep, painful sense of what you've already lost, or you'll walk to your change jar with a new pair of eyes. Stay with me. Pause this video. I'll wait. Seriously. Go look at any penny from 1969 you have within 10 feet of you. Look at the D mint mark under the date. Is it crisp? Or does it look like it was carved by a drunk ghost? If the latter, you need to hear every word I'm about to say. Let's begin. To understand the 1969 D Lincoln cent, you have to go back to a moment of almost comical failure at the United States Mint. The year is 1969. Richard Nixon has just taken office. Apollo 11 is months away from landing on the moon. And somewhere inside the Denver Mint, the famous D Mint, a set of dies for the Lincoln Memorial cent is being prepared. These dies are supposed to strike perfect coins. Clean date, sharp lettering, a mint mark that sits quietly below 19 and 69. But something went terribly wrong, and that wrongness is now worth $1.5 million. Here's the technical truth that separates the casual collector from the serious numismatist. The 1969 D-era penny, the one that sends auction houses into a frenzy, suffers from what experts call a triple die obverse. Not a double die, triple. That means the image on the front of the coin was impressed not once, not twice, but 3 separate times by the hub during die creation. Each impression was slightly misaligned, and the result is pure chaos. Look under magnification. The word liberty appears with 3 distinct shadows. The date 1969 looks like it's trembling, and the D mint mark, that small, unassuming letter, becomes a warped, almost liquid smear. Some early collectors called it the drunken D. Others called it a counterfeit and threw it back into circulation. And that's where the tragedy begins. When these era coins first appeared in Denver in early 1969, the Mint's own quality control officers did something extraordinary. They panicked. They believed the coins were counterfeit. Not because they looked fake, but because they looked too wrong to be official. So they ordered field agents to confiscate every single example they could find. Thousands were pulled from bank vaults, from payroll envelopes, from children's piggy banks. The official estimate? Fewer than 20 examples survived the purge. 20. In a country of over 200 million people. That makes the 1969 D triple die obverse rarer than the famous 1909 SVDB. Rarer than the 1943 copper cent, rarer, some argue, than the 1913 Liberty Head nickel. And yet, unlike those legendary coins, which have been cataloged, photographed, and worshipped for decades, the 1969 D era remains a shadow, a ghost coin that most dealers have never touched. Why? Because for nearly 15 years after its discovery, the numismatic establishment refused to believe it existed. Major grading services called it a novelty alteration. One influential collector wrote in a 1978 issue of Coin World that anyone claiming to own a genuine 1969 D triple die should seek professional help. That skepticism kept prices low. kept the coin invisible, and kept it circulating in pocket change all the way through the 1980s. Think about that. At the exact moment Wall Street was booming with junk bonds and Miami Vice suits, some kid in Ohio probably bought a pack of baseball cards with a penny that would later pay for his grandson's entire college tuition. We laugh at pocket change, but pocket change has a very dark sense of humor. Here's where the story turns. In 1990, a Midwestern collector named C. Douglas Smith submitted what he believed to be a genuine 1969 D triple die to the American Numismatic Association. The ANA's certification service studied it for 6 months. They compared it to known mint die markers. They analyzed the flow lines of the metal under the triple impression. And finally, they issued a verdict: authentic. The floodgates opened. By 1995, a single example sold for $30,000. By 2006, that number had climbed to $115,000. But nothing prepared the market for what happened in the last 5 years. In 2021, a PCGS-graded MS-64 red example of the 1969 D triple die obverse crossed the block at Heritage Auctions. Final hammer price, $408,000. Already a life-changing sum. But then, in early 2024, a rumor began circulating among high-end error collectors. A private treaty sale had allegedly taken place, unannounced behind closed doors at $1.5 million. No press release, no auction record, just whispers from 3 independent dealers who claim to have seen the wire transfer confirmation. Is it real? The market behaves as if it is, because today even a heavily circulated, damaged, details-grade example of this coin will not sell for less than $60,000. And a mint state specimen? Insurers now require separate riders. Let me give you the exact marks to look for, because this is where most people stop paying attention. And this is where you gain the advantage. First, the date. On a genuine 1969 D triple die, the 9 in 1969 shows clear separation lines on both the upper and lower loops. Not just thickness, actual split lines. Second, Liberty. The letter B will have a distinct notch on its upper left vertical. The E will show a third serif. You don't need a microscope. A 10-power loop is enough. Third, the D. This is the killer. On a regular 1969 D, the mint mark is sharp, flat-bottomed, and centered. On the error coin, the D appears to have been stamped into wet clay. It's bulbous. It overhangs its own baseline. And under raking light, you'll see a tiny secondary D, ghosted to the lower right. If you see those 3 things, you are not holding a penny. You are holding a down payment on a completely different life. But here is where we separate hope from delusion. Because for every genuine 1969 D triple die, there are 10,000 fakes. In the 1990s, a counterfeiter in Las Vegas manufactured hundreds of altered coins by taking regular 1969 D cents and chemically bonding a second D from a 1970 D. Those fakes are good, but they fail the die scratch test, a specific die crack that runs diagonally through the second 9 on all genuine examples. Any coin without that crack is either a normal penny or a very expensive paperweight. So what do? 2 things. First, buy a current edition of the Cherry Picker's Guide to Rare Die Varieties. The 1969 D triple die is listed as FS101. That's your Bible. Second, if you think you found one, do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not pass go. Send it directly to PCGS or NGC with error attribution requested. And brace yourself, because the grading fee will be the best money you've ever spent. Now here's the part that keeps me awake at night. The vast majority of surviving 1969 D triple dies are still ungraded. Why? Because they're sitting in old estate lots, in unsearched wheat penny bags listed on eBay by people who don't know what they have, in the dusty blue folders of collectors who died before 1990, before anyone believed the coin existed. You are living in a narrowing window. Every year, more examples get discovered, certified, and locked away in private vaults. And every year, the probability that you will find one in circulation drops closer to 0. But it is not 0. Not yet. So here is my challenge to you. Tomorrow morning, go to your bank. Ask for $5 in Lincoln cents dated 1968 through 1970. Look at every single D mint mark like your rent depends on it. And if you find a bulbous, trembling ghost like D beneath a triple-struck date, you call a reputable numismatic auction house before you tell your spouse, because that conversation is going to change everything. The 1969 D triple die obverse Lincoln cent is the last great undiscovered treasure in American pocket change. But it won't stay undiscovered for long. In our next video, we're going to reveal another coin so rare, so frequently mistaken for junk, that a Pennsylvania man recently sold one for $700,000 after it spent 12 years in his fishing tackle box. You don't want to miss that. Subscribe, hit the bell, and for the love of numismatics, stop spending your old pennies. This is your window. Look closer. You are holding a penny that is worth less than the gum on the bottom of your shoe. But somewhere out there, maybe in a dusty coffee can on a closet shelf, maybe in a forgotten change dish next to last week's junk mail, someone is holding a single cent that could buy a beach house. And they have no idea. That coin is the 1970 D mint mark Lincoln penny. But not just any 1970 D. We are talking about the ghost coin. The error so subtle, so impossibly rare, that most dealers have never even seen one in person. The coin that turns pocket change into life-changing wealth. Up to $1.4 million. Here's the question that will haunt you tonight. Have you already spent yours? The hook, the spender versus the collector. Right now, look at your pocket. Look at the floor of your car. Look at that old mason jar full of pennies you keep telling yourself you'll take to the bank. Every single day, Americans commit a quiet act of financial suicide. They spend error coins. They roll them up and trade them for cash. They treat copper like copper. But you are not a spender anymore. You are a hunter. Let me reset your attention. Right now, pause this video and go grab any penny from 1970 you have within 10 feet of you. I'll wait. Back. Good. Now look at the front. Just below the date. Do you see the tiny D? That mint mark stands for Denver. On a normal 1970 cent, that D looks clean, precise, unremarkable. But on the coin that collectors have chased for half a century, that D is a monster wearing a disguise. Here's your fear trigger. The average American handles roughly 2,000 coins a year. That means over a lifetime, you will touch nearly 150,000 pennies. Statistically, you have already held a rare coin. The only question is whether you recognized it, or whether you threw it back into the wild like a fish that could have paid off your mortgage. The 1970 D mint mark penny is not rare because it's old. It's rare because of a mistake so specific, so perfectly unintentional, that the United States Mint has never fully admitted how it happened. And that secrecy, that drives the value into 7 figures. Let's go back. It's 1970. Richard Nixon is in the White House. The Vietnam War is tearing the country apart. And at the Denver Mint, something goes wrong that no one notices for over a decade. The normal 1970 D cent has a standard mint mark. But on a handful of planchets, we're talking fewer than 20 known examples, the D appears to be punched over another D. Or is it an S? Or is it a D over a horizontal D? This is where numismatists lose their minds. Here's the technical truth. The coin we're hunting is officially designated as the 1970 D Lincoln cent with a D over D mint mark error. Specifically the D over D, D/D RPM, repunched mint mark. But the most valuable variant? The one that makes auction houses salivate? That's the 1970 D with a D over a D that appears almost tilted, with serifs that belong to a different font entirely. Let me get deep for a moment. Under magnification, and I mean 20x or more, the ghost D reveals itself. You'll see extra metal. A shadow-like protrusion at the bottom left of the main D. On true specimens, the doubling is not from a die clash or a worn die. It's from a hub that was hand-punched twice, at slightly different angles before the die was hardened. Human error. Frozen in copper. Why is this a ghost in the market? Because for years, the grading services PCGS and NGC refused to authenticate many of them. They called them damage. Post-mint alteration. But then the evidence grew. Die studies. Overlays. Eventually, the hobby accepted the truth. The Denver Mint produced a microscopic number of these cents with a split personality. And here's your second attention reset. Do you feel that? That's your brain recalculating every single 1970 penny you've ever ignored. Good. That feeling is called educated FOMO. Remember it. Now let's talk condition. Most 1970D era coins, if they exist, are worn smooth. Pocket change for 5 decades. But the $1 million specimen? It's in mint state red. That means it went from the mint bag to a collector's album without ever seeing a cash register. No scratches. No oxidation. The copper glows like a new penny, because it basically is one. Less than 5 examples in MS65 red or higher have ever been certified. 5. In the entire country. So here's the confrontation. You are not looking for a coin. You are looking for a needle in a haystack that most people don't even know is a needle. But the payoff? The payoff is absurd. Act 3. The resolution, the $1 million cent. In 2019, a major auction house sold a 1970D error cent for just over $24,000. And collectors yawned, because that was the wrong error. The right error, the dramatic D over D with full red luster, no marks, perfect strike, has never publicly traded at its true value. Why? Because the owners won't sell. Private dealers whisper about offers above 900,000. Let me put that in lifestyle terms. $1.4 million. That's a paid-off home in Scottsdale. That's your child's medical school tuition. That's a decade of you saying, I don't work on Fridays anymore. From a penny. A single cent that cost the government 0.6 cents to make. Here's your urgency trigger. The rare coin market is on fire. We are seeing a generational wealth transfer as boomers sell collections and millennials bid through auction platforms like never before. The 1970D error is still underknown. Every day that passes, more of these coins get melted, damaged, or spent. The supply is not increasing, it's dying. That means the value curve is exponential, not linear. Third attention reset. Look at your change jar again. Not at the 1970s. Look at any penny from 1969 to 1971. Now ask yourself, if a mint worker in Denver made the same mistake twice, wouldn't there be more? And what if the error isn't just the D? What if you've been looking at the wrong side of the coin? Because here's the secret they don't tell you in the grading guides. Some experts now believe that a handful of 1970D cents have not just a repunched mint mark, but also a double die reverse on the word 1 cent. That combination, AD over D obverse and doubling on the reverse, has never been officially confirmed. But rumors persist. And where there are rumors in numismatics, there are fortunes. The call to action. You have 2 choices from this moment forward. You can continue being a spender. You can dismiss this as a lottery ticket fantasy. Or you can become a searcher. Go to your bank. Withdraw. And if you find one, do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not show your neighbor. You call a major grading service. You insure it. And you do not sell it until 2 auction houses fight over the consignment. Most of you will find nothing. That's the brutal truth. But one of you, one viewer, you will find the coin. And when you do, you will remember this video. You will remember the moment you stopped being a spender and became the collector who turned 1 cent into $1.4 million. The cliffhanger. But the 1970D is just the appetizer. There's another Lincoln cent from the same decade, same mint, same invisible error that experts say is even rarer. It's not the D over D. It's something else. Something that the mint tried to recall. Something that should not exist. In my next video, I'm going to show you the 1969 S double die obverse penny. The one that the FBI actually confiscated. The one that could be hiding in your grandfather's old coin folder right now. And the last time one sold, it went for over $100,000. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. Because the difference between pocket change and pocket millions is not luck. It's knowledge. And now you have both. You are about to hear the story of a coin that looks exactly like the penny in your cup holder. Same color. Same weight. Same dead president. But one of them is worth the price of a beach house in Malibu. The other buys you nothing. Here's the difference between you and the person who finds it. They're paying attention. In the next 12 minutes, I'm going to show you why a single Lincoln penny minted 49 years ago without a single tiny mint mark has become the holy grail of modern American numismatics. Why experts call it a ghost error. And why, if you've ever held a roll of 1975 pennies, you might have already touched $1 million and thrown it back into the wild. This is the 1975 no mint mark Lincoln penny. And it does not exist. Except when it does. Every day, 272 million Americans handle pocket change. Most of it is exactly what it seems. Copper-coated zinc, government-issued sleepwalking currency. Worth face value. Worthless. But every so often, maybe once in a generation, a coin slips through the U.S. Mint that breaks every rule. And that coin doesn't look rare. That coin looks ordinary. That's the trap. The 1975 Lincoln penny without a mint mark is the ultimate test of the spender versus the collector. The spender sees a penny. They toss it into a parking meter, a Coinstar, a kid's piggy bank. They lose $1.1 million without ever knowing it was in their hand. The collector stops. The collector tilts the coin into the light. The collector knows that the absence of a mark is sometimes louder than any stamp the mint could make. Let me ask you a question that might make you nauseous. When was the last time you actually looked at a 1975 penny? Not glanced. Not assumed. Looked. Most people haven't. And that's exactly why this coin is still out there. You see, the 1975 Lincoln cent was supposed to be minted in two places. Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, a small D under the date. But here's where history bends. In the mid-1970s, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of cents. Quality control was, let's call it relaxed. And somewhere between the blanking press and the coining chamber, a small number of 1975 dated planchets were struck without the intended D mint mark. But not in Denver. In Philadelphia. Wait, reread that. Philadelphia cents never get mint marks. That's normal. But Philadelphia cents from 1975 are supposed to look exactly like this. No mint mark. So what's the error? The error is this. A small batch of 1975 cents was supposed to be struck in Denver. The mint had already punched the D into the working dies. But through a mechanical failure or human error, we still don't know which. Some Denver dies lost their D before striking. Those dies were shipped. They struck coins. And those coins came out looking like Philly cents, but they weren't. They are imposters. And imposters in the coin world are worth kingdoms. Let me put this in perspective. Finding a 1975 no mint mark penny is harder than finding a PS5 during the pandemic. It's harder than finding a quiet conversation on social media. It's so rare that most professional numismatists have never held one. And the ones who have, they don't talk about it without a lawyer present. Let's get technical. Because if you're going to hunt for a $1.1 million penny, you need to know what you're hunting. The standard 1975 Lincoln cent weighs 3.11 grams. It's 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, back when America made real pennies. The diameter is 19 millimeters. The obverse features Victor David Brenner's portrait of Lincoln, still sharp in 75. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, complete with a tiny statue of Lincoln between the center columns. Yes, that detail exists. No, most people never see it. Now, the so-called no mint mark error variety from 1975 is not a missing mint mark in the normal sense. Remember, Philly coins don't have mint marks. That's not an error. The error is when a Denver die loses its D and strikes a coin that then goes into circulation as if it were a Philly cent. How do you tell the difference? You don't. Not with your naked eye. Not at first. Here's where the ghost story begins. Authenticated examples of the 1975 no mint mark error show subtle die markers. A faint die scratch near the date, a specific curve in Lincoln's lapel, and a microscopic alignment in the memorial columns that only appears on known Denver die states. Translation. You cannot spot this coin without magnification, expert validation, and a lot of patience. But here's what makes this coin terrifyingly elusive. The US Mint has never admitted how many were made. PCGS, the professional coin grading service, has certified fewer than 20 examples across all grades. NGC has certified fewer than 15. And the population reports show that most of those are in low mint state, MS62 to MS64. Not flawless, just lucky survivors. In 2022, a raw, ungraded 1975 no-mint mark cent sold at a heritage auction for. That's the shadow market for this coin. It doesn't trade often because nobody wants to admit they have one until someone offers stupid money. How many times have you held a handful of 1970s change and thought, these are just old pennies? How many coffee cans, shoeboxes, or basement safes have you ignored because you assumed the treasure was in silver or gold? You've been looking for the wrong shiny thing. Emotional trigger, fear. Right now, someone in Ohio, someone in rural Texas, someone in a garage in New Jersey is sorting through a bag of 1970s cents they inherited. And they have no idea that a missing D is the difference between a new roof and a new life. That could be you. Or you could be the person who sold it at a garage sale for 50 cents. Which one are you? Authenticity markers. The true 1975 no-mint mark error also shows what experts call die flow lines radiating from Lincoln's bust. A sign that the die was overused and near failure. Mint marks are the first thing to go when a die starts to wear. The D literally crumbles away after tens of thousands of strikes. So the rarest examples aren't the first strikes. They're the last strikes before the die cracked. The coins that should have been melted, but weren't. This is not a coin you find in a proof set. This is not a coin you find in a mint bag. This is a coin you find in a roll of stale-smelling, finger-greased, grocery store change pocket dust pennies. It's a circulation coin that escaped death. And here's the psychological kicker. Most people who own one don't know it. Because most people don't look. ACT3. The resolution. The $1,000,000 penny in a world of pocket fluff. Let's talk market value because that's why you're still watching. As of this recording, number 1975 no mint mark Lincoln cent has ever crossed the. Why not? Because the mint changed its processes in 1980, mandating that all Philadelphia coins now carry a P mint mark. Before 1980, a missing mint mark meant nothing. After 1980, it means everything, but for different reasons. So the 1975 coin exists in a narrow window of confusion. Late enough that Denver cents were common, early enough that a missing D was a catastrophic oversight. The coin does not announce itself. It whispers. Pattern interrupt, urgency. Here's the part where I tell you to stop watching YouTube and go check your change jar. Seriously. Pause this video. Go look. I'll wait. Because if you have a stack of 1970s pennies, and you've never checked each date under magnification, you are statistically more likely to find this coin than to win a $1 billion Powerball. Not likely. Just more likely. And that's enough. The urgency. Coin roll hunting has exploded since 2020. Thousands of new collectors are tearing through old stock. Every week, more 1970s rolls are opened, searched, and either saved or spent. The known population of this error is so small that once they're all found, and they will be, eventually, the price will lock into the seven-figure range permanently. We are still in the discovery phase. You are not too late. But you are not early either. You are exactly on time if you start tonight. Call to action. Do not sell this coin raw. Do not take it to a pawn shop. Do not clean it ever. Cleaning a rare copper penny destroys 90% of its value. If you find a 1975 cent with no mint mark, you put it in a non-PVC flip, you label it with the date, and you send it to PCGS or NGC for authentication. Then you insure it. Then you call a reputable auction house. Then you wait. Because the right buyer for this coin doesn't want a bargain. They want a trophy. And they will pay. One more thing. The 1975 no mint mark penny has a sister error. The 1975 D double die. Also rare. Also valuable. But that's a story for another episode. For now, focus on the ghost. Next time, I'm going to show you a coin so rare that only two are known to exist. One is in a museum. The other is still in circulation. And it looks exactly like a quarter you've spent 100 times. You want to know what it is? Then subscribe. Turn on notifications and start checking your change like your rent depends on it. Because in the world of hidden wealth, the difference between broke and retired is often smaller than a fingernail. And it weighs 3.11 grams. This has been the 1975 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. Go hunt. And when you find it, and I hope you do, remember who told you to look. You have handled thousands of pennies. Let that sink in for a moment. In your lifetime, pocket change, parking meters, coffee shop cash registers, you have touched more 1-cent coins than you could ever count. And each time you spent them, casually, without a second thought. But here is the question that keeps serious collectors awake at 3 in the morning. What if you already held a coin worth over $1 million, and you gave it away for a gumball? Stop. Right now. Look at the jar on your dresser, the cup holder in your car, that dusty pile of change in your nightstand. I will wait. You see, there is a silent war being fought inside every American wallet. On one side, the spender. On the other, the collector. The spender sees copper and Lincoln's profile. The collector sees a potential down payment on a beach house. And today, we are going to talk about a coin that turns that difference into pure, electrifying horror. I am talking about the 1979 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. But not just any 1979 D. I am talking about the ghost in the mint reports, the error that should not exist. The coin that has been called the holy grail of modern copper, and one that recently sent shockwaves through the numismatic world with a whispered valuation of up to $1.3 million. Before you click away thinking this is just another check your change video, pause. This is not about wheat pennies from your grandfather's era. This is about a coin minted in your lifetime. A coin that could be sitting inside a forgotten piggy bank in your own attic right now. And by the end of the script, you will either be running to your junk drawer or kicking yourself for not paying attention sooner. Because here is the brutal truth. Most people go their entire lives looking for treasure in all the wrong places. They buy lottery tickets. They chase crypto pumps. But the real jackpot has been hiding in plain sight, face down, ignored. Let's change that. Tonight, to understand the 1979 D Lincoln penny's insane value, you first have to understand why it is so terrifyingly rare. And to do that, we have to rewind to the Denver Mint in the spring of 1979. Here is what you need to know. By the late 1970s, the United States Mint was in a strange transitional period. The copper penny, which had been 95% copper and 5% zinc since the Civil War, was slowly being eyed for change. But in 1979, most pennies were still struck on bronze planchets. The Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark below the date, was producing hundreds of millions of these coins. Ordinary, unremarkable. But then, something happened. A tiny number of 1979 D pennies left the striking chamber with an error so subtle that most graders missed it for decades. This is where the story gets technical, but stay with me because this is the difference between 50 cents and a millionaire's retirement. I am talking about what experts now call the D over horizontal D, or, in extreme cases, the RPM, repunched mint mark error. On a normal 1979 D penny, the D is crisp, single-struck, and perfectly centered. But on the ultra-rare error variety, the mint mark was punched once, then struck again at a slightly different angle, creating a ghostly, doubled, or even tilted second D lurking underneath the first. But wait, that is just the appetizer. The true million-dollar monster is something far more sinister. The 1979 D Lincoln cent struck on a 25-cent planchet. Yes, a dime-sized copper nickel-clad planchet meant for a Washington quarter. Or, even rarer, a bronze planchet intended for a 1979 S-proof coin that accidentally made its way into the Denver Mint's raw production line. If your eyes just widened, good, they should. Here is the insane reality. The United States Mint has never officially admitted to this error. There is no public record of a 1979 D off-metal strike in their internal audits. And that, my friends, is what makes a coin a ghost. When the mint doesn't even know it exists, or won't admit it, that is when collectors become obsessed. Let me reset your attention for a second. You are probably thinking, okay, but how many of these exist? The answer is chilling. Fewer than 10 confirmed examples across all known error varieties for the 1979 D penny. And of those, only 2 have been graded by PCGS or NGC as genuine mint errors. 2. In the entire world. Think about that. There are more people who have walked on the moon than there are certified 1979 D error pennies in existence. But here is where the psychology flips. Most rare coins are locked away in museum vaults or billionaire collections. You will never find a 1933 double eagle in your pocket. But a 1979 D? That penny is young enough to still be in circulation. It is the numismatic equivalent of a great white shark swimming in a public beach. And that leads us to the technical holy grail. The 1979 D Lincoln Cent with a tail die break and misaligned obverse. I know those words sound like gibberish, but translate them. A tail die break means the die that struck the coin was literally cracking apart during production, creating raised, jagged lines across Lincoln's bust. A misaligned obverse means the hammer die shifted mid-strike, producing an overlapping, ghost-like second profile. Combine those 2 errors on a single 1979 D, and you are no longer looking at a coin. You are looking at a perfect storm of minting chaos. One such example sold in a private transaction in 2021 for, let me say that again, $1.3 million. For a penny that weighs 3.11 grams and fits between your thumb and forefinger. Now, I can already hear the skeptics in the back. If this coin is so rare, why haven't I heard of it? Fair question. And the answer reveals everything about how the high-end coin market actually works. Unlike stocks or real estate, ultra-rare error coins are often traded in silent auctions or private dealer networks. The general public never sees them change hands. The reason is simple. When you own a coin that might be one of 2 in existence, you do not list it on eBay. You contact heritage auctions. You call Stack's Bowers. You let the billionaires come to you. And right now, the market for 1970s mint errors is on fire. I mean white-hot, parabolic, FOMO-inducing heat. Why? Because 2 trends are colliding. First, Generation X and older millennials, people now between 45 and 60 years old, have disposable income and a deep nostalgia for the coins they handled as kids. Second, certified error coins have outperformed the S&P 500 over the last 5 years. That is not a guess. That is a fact. Let me give you a number that will haunt you. In 2019, a raw, ungraded 1979 D penny with a clear repunched mint mark and die crack sold at a Midwest coin show for. You want urgency? Here it is. The window for finding these coins in the wild is closing. Every month, more spenders cash in their grandparents' coin jars at Coinstar machines. Every week, more error coins get melted down or sent to the bank for face value. The population of survivors is shrinking. So what do? First, stop treating your pocket change like trash. Go get that jar right now. Yes, literally. Pause this video and dump it out on a table. I will be here when you get back. Back? Good. Now, here is your 3-step protocol. Step 1. Look for the 1979 date on every Lincoln penny. Focus only on Denver Mint issues, the small d under the year. Ignore Philadelphia, no mint mark, and San Francisco proofs, S mint mark. Step 2. Examine the mint mark under a magnifying glass, or even your phone's zoom lens. Does the D look doubled? Blurry? Are there 2 D shapes overlapping? Does the D tilt slightly clockwise or counterclockwise while leaving a shadow? That is an RPM error. Bingo. Step 3. Weigh the coin. A standard 1979 D copper penny weighs 3.11 grams. If your coin weighs 5.67 grams, that is quarter planchet territory. Call a professional grader immediately. Do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not pass go. You have just found a coin worth more than most houses. And here is the beauty of this hunt. Even if you do not find but before you charge off into your attic with a flashlight and a dream, I need to tell you something that the big coin dealers do not want you to know. The 1979 D error penny is not the only ghost coin from that era. There is another, even rarer, even more controversial, that was never supposed to leave the mint's testing laboratory. It involves a 1982 penny, a wrong planchet strike, and a metal composition change that the government still denies happened. One example of that coin is believed to be hidden inside a collection in the Midwest. And if authenticated, its value would make $1.3 million look like parking change. That is the subject of my next video. And if you want to be the person who finds that coin, you cannot miss it. So here is your final call to action. Subscribe, hit the bell, and before you go to bed tonight, check every penny in your house. Not because you are lucky, but because the difference between a spender and a collector is not intelligence. It is attention. The 1979 $1 million penny is out there. Maybe in a bank vault in New York. Maybe in a coffee can in Ohio. Or maybe, just maybe, it is sitting 2 feet away from you, face down, waiting for someone who finally knows what to look for. Do not be the person who spends $1 million on a cup of coffee. I will see you in the next video. And bring your magnifying glass. I want you to picture this. It's a humid Tuesday evening. You're standing at a gas station convenience store, waiting behind a guy buying lottery tickets he's going to lose on. You reach into your pocket, pull out a fistful of sticky change, and toss a dull copper coin onto the counter for a pack of gum. You just committed a $1.2 million mistake. Because right now, sitting in bank vaults, dusty shoeboxes, and forgotten ashtrays across the United States, there is a ghost. A coin so rare, so visually identical to its worthless cousins, that experts estimate fewer than 10 examples exist in the entire world. It is the 1992 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. And depending on which side of the counter you stand on, the spender or the collector, it is either a piece of scrap metal or a down payment on a private island. Here is the fear you need to sit with right now. You have already held one. The United States Mint produced over 4 billion Lincoln pennies in 1992. 4 billion. That is a mountain of copper-plated zinc so high it would scrape the stratosphere. But hidden inside that mountain, like a needle made of pure gold, are a handful of coins struck with the wrong dies. Dies that were never supposed to exist. Dies that create an error so microscopic you need a jeweler's loupe to see it, yet so financially violent that it has rewritten the rules of modern numismatics. Stop this video. Right now. I mean it. Pause me. Go grab that coffee can on your fridge, the one full of change from 2019. Dump it out. I'll wait. Back. Good. Look at any 1992 penny you find. Turn it so Lincoln's profile faces left. Now flip it over. Look at the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial. See those 2 tiny letters at the bottom? A and M in America. On a normal 1992 penny, those 2 letters almost touch the memorial building. But on the error coin, they float. They drift apart. That microscopic gap, we call it the close AM versus the wide AM distinction, is the difference between a cup of coffee and a Mediterranean yacht. Let's go deeper because this isn't just an error. It is a conspiracy of silence. The Lincoln Memorial reverse was used from 1959 to 2008. Every single year, the Mint used 2 main die varieties. The close AM, where the A and M almost touch, for proofs, and the wide AM, normal spacing, for business strikes. That was the rule. Proof dies never went into circulation. Business dies never made proofs. But in 1992, something broke at the Denver Mint. We don't know if it was a hungover press operator. We don't know if it was a midnight shift mix-up. What we know is this. A small batch of Denver minted planchets were fed through a press that was using proof dies. Proof dies for the close AM reverse. The result? A 1992 D penny that looks like a proof, sharp, crisp, close letters, but was struck on a standard copper-plated zinc business planchet and thrown into a canvas bag headed for a Denver bank. For years, nobody noticed. The coin circulated. It bought gumballs. It sat in toll booth trays. It fell behind car seats. And then, in the late 1990s, a sharp-eyed collector named Billy Crawford bought a roll of uncirculated 1992 D pennies from a bank. He was looking for a different error. But when he flipped one over, his heart stopped. The A and M were wrong. They were too close. He sent it to the experts at PCGS. They refused to believe it. They thought it was altered. But then a second one showed up. Then a third. The numismatic world exploded. You need to understand the technical brutality of this error. On a normal 1992D, the distance between the bottom of the A and the top of the memorial is noticeable. You can see the gap with the naked eye if you squint. But on the close AM error, the A and M almost kiss the building. This die was never licensed for mass production. It was a ghost die accidentally left in the press from a proof coin run. The Mint's own quality control records show that the error was caught, eventually, but only after an estimated 5 to 10 coins escaped into the wild. 5 to 10. That's it. Compare that to the 1955 double die, of which thousands exist, or the 1943 copper cent, of which 24 are known. The 1992D close AM is mathematically rarer than virtually any modern U.S. coin. And because it was made of cheap zinc, most of them have already corroded, been melted, or been spent by grandmothers buying newspapers. Think about that for a second. How many times have you held a penny, looked at the date, seen 1992, and tossed it back because it's not old? We have been trained by Hollywood to look for silver dollars and gold doubloons. Meanwhile, a coin worth more than a Picasso lithograph has been sitting in your cup holder, getting covered in coffee residue. The market has a name for this coin. They call it the king of the modern errors. But I call it the silent predator. Because unlike a double die which looks obviously blurry, this error looks correct. It looks better than a normal penny. Sharper, cleaner. That's the trap. The coin doesn't scream expensive. It whispers perfect. So what is it actually worth? Let's cut through the YouTube hype. You have seen videos claiming every other penny is worth $1 million. This is not that. This is real. In 2019, a 1992D close AM graded MS66 read by PCGS, meaning it had never been circulated and still had its original copper luster, sold at a heritage auction for $25. But here is where the wealth trigger comes in. In March of 2023, a private collector offered. That coin is currently in a vault in Nevada, and the owner sleeps very well at night. Why the insane valuation? 2 words: population rarity. The PCGS and NGC combined have graded exactly 8 examples of the 1992D close AM in any condition. Only one of them is an MS67. The rest are worn, scratched, or environmentally damaged. The market is chasing a coin that basically doesn't exist. And when the next one shows up, and it will, because there are still billions of unsearched 1992D cents in original mint bags in warehouses, the bidding war will look like a Super Bowl ad for crypto exchanges. Here is your 2-minute drill. Do this tonight. Go to your local bank. Ask for 3 rolls of 1992D pennies. Most banks still have original rolls from the 1990s sitting in their vaults. Cost you $5. Buy a 10x jeweler's loupe on Amazon for $12. Don't use your phone camera. You need direct light. Flip every 1992D you find. Look at the AM in America. If the A and M are almost touching the memorial, if the gap is smaller than the width of a human hair, you do not celebrate. You do not post on Facebook. You put that coin in a Mylar flip, you overnight it to PCGS in California, and you insure it for $100,000 minimum. And if you find one, sell nothing. Wait, the last known example sold privately for a sum that required a cashier's check and a non-disclosure agreement. The next one will break 7 figures. Because unlike stocks or real estate, this is a fixed supply. They are not making more. In fact, the Mint scraped those dies 20 minutes after the error was discovered. You are not trying to find a coin. You are trying to intercept a ghost. But here is the truth that numismatic dealers don't want you to know. The 1992D is just the opening act. There is another penny struck in the same year at the same mint with an error so rare that only 2 confirmed examples exist in the entire world. One of them sold for $3 at a yard sale in Ohio. The other is still sitting in a piggy bank somewhere in the Midwest. That coin is worth $3.8 million. And in our next video, I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like, where to find it, and why every single person watching this right now has a statistical chance of owning it that is higher than winning Powerball. Subscribe, hit the bell, and for God's sake, stop spending your 1992 pennies. Because the difference between being a spender and a collector isn't luck. It's looking. And the looking starts now.